My name is Jen Dayfell. I'm the director. Oh, thank you. This is a great topic. It's a little scary. There's our staff during the month of February. So we kind of did a deep dive into it a little bit. And generated some. Our goal tonight, for those of you that participated in the book study, is to kind of those processes that we. For those of you who do, I'd like to kind of catch you up on the themes of this book. And I'm hoping that when you be here, go home and on fire. A lot of people here that were but I can it was really eye-opening, really positive. So by the full bunch of wonderful people who are going to be our local experts and to give us their topic on I'm going to review them. Actually, I'm going to let them introduce on there. Like your window. Hi everyone. My name is Officer Allison. December. Guys, I came from Fairlawn near Akron, so I've been also for 9 years or so. Hi. Hi, I'm Lisa Morales. I am the wellness coach for grade 7. So I'm right in middle school and also I do similar to what I said. Work on grade. And Cosmo.
Good evening. My name is Mike Santos. I am a principal of Springfield High School. This is my first year for the district. Administratively, I do have experience in grade 3 as well, so experience with a lot of the age groups that might be represented today. Also, I'm the parents and
Hi, my name is Mary Catherine, and I'm a senior here at Chagrin. I just felt like I was going to speak tonight because I have a lot of experience myself with social media and seeing how it affects people. Hi, my name is Lynn, with 11th grader here at Chagrin. Similar to Mary Catherine, also I'll talk about my experiences. I'm the Chagrin Falls Homeless Principal with the high school. Hi, I'm Lily Wakeroll, and I'm also a junior in San Francisco grade 7 to kind of answer questions and share my.
So the next hour, we're going to break up into 2 parts. The first half, we're going to hear from a lot of the people sitting at this table, information, and then I'm also going to give you benefits from the book. That you can read it, you still get a general sense of kind of what is going to be question and answer. Probably the best part of our book study was that opportunity to hear those from other people, other parents who did. So even though we're a large group, I'm hopeful that you feel comfortable and really, give us the opportunity to do information sharing. All right, let's get started. Grab your phone. Get the presentation. I choose whether it's this school or many others, our teachers are integrating technology into the classroom. And sometimes as parents, I think it's hard for us to really know how they're doing that or to see how it might come to life. You go ahead and do that QR code or and once you're there, you're going to enter that code. We're going to use this platform tonight a couple of times. If you're struggling and need help, the girls can come around and try to help you figure it out and raise your hand. All right, so when you get plugged in, you're going to have a question for you to answer of where your child or children is. So go ahead and answer that question. Well, you guys figured it out. Good job. Give everyone a chance to log in here. You want to re-represent it? Okay, so this is really good because it helps us get an idea of who's out there tonight and maybe could our answers or generate topics that might be more relevant. Just like learning with we're joking that learning at conferences. The next one I want you to do is what social media app do you use most? So it's kind of, I don't know if it's scientific or not, but generally speaking, the adage is that whatever social media platform is most popular with teens, when the adults start using it, the teens move on to something. How many of you are using Let's Not many. About that 9%? Give that room. Okay. All right, so as you can see, this platform is a really interactive way. Imagine how teachers might use it in a classroom to do quiz preparation or to get students' voice or opinion on different topics. So when your student, middle school, high school, says, I use my phone at school, they might really be using their phone at school for good instructional reasons. Okay, so what you're going to do now for the next part using this platform is if you have questions about what we're talking about, or if you think, oh, I want to make sure I ask whatever, there's a Q&A little part in there where you can type your questions. The platform will select all those questions that you guys are typing in, and when we get to the end, it'll generate that list of questions for us. So it's really do if you're a little shy, if you don't want to raise your hand and ask questions, it'll give you an opportunity. Again, it's a great tool for kids in classrooms, so maybe they're not the ones who feel comfortable asking a question, they can still have their way heard. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, so I'm going to start do the book. My name is Carrie James, are both Harvard. Pull them, you will see they've been on the Today Show, they've been on Night News, they've been on lots of different news programs and been interviewed with lots of different things talking about this issue of teachers technology. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a brief overview, about 4 minutes long. Been studying teaching.
title of our book is Behind This. The obvious question is, we've been studying teens for over a decade. Educators and any adult who really cares about what schools and tools are experiencing. We break down what's myth, what's reality, and how you can using the ways that they're helpful. Traditional and non-traditional research. Our traditional methods included surveys and interviews and focus groups, but we also moved into non-traditional methods. Involved with our research team, we also recruited an advisory council of 22 teams across the U.S. who really helped us dig into our findings and make sense of what we're seeing. Teams are on their phones a lot, and they tell us that they're worried about that. They say things to us like, "You have TikTok runs my life," or "I'm on social media all the time and I can't seem to get off." One of the reasons for this are the design features that technology companies build into apps. Things like content scroll that keep our news feeds going on and on and continually refreshing. Or notifications as the red flags that come up and feed our curiosity that please reach out to me and to the There are also just so many new forms of social information for teens in their lives and learning them. You can probably all remember back to the social dynamics of the middle school lunchroom. And now it's like that lunchroom is on the screen all the time. Which way? There's all of this new social information to analyze and learn about, like a Venmo receipt for a transaction between two peers who are at Dunkin' Donuts together. And suddenly you're wondering, when did they start hanging out so much? And why wasn't I invited? For good reason, many of us are deeply concerned about trends in adolescent mental health, and we really want to understand the role that social media is playing. Think about social media like an amplifier, but the essential question is, what is it amplifying for a particular kid? This is something that we saw so clearly in our research. What's hardest about growing up with technologies is actually different for different kids, and we need to tune into the particular if we want to stand against something. Well, first of all, we understand that when adults think about the idea of teens and sex, it's really uncomfortable. And as moms and fathers, we really feel that. But in our research, when we listen to teens talk about substance abuse, we learn a lot of really important things. We were also really struck by some of the strategies that we heard for teens, like watermarking news, which is adding a clearly visible watermark with the name of the guy that you're sending your new picture to. The idea being that if that photo is ever leaked, the person is then automatically involved. His name is right on that picture, and there's some kind of accountability. Certainly, there are a array of challenges that we face in the digital lives. The teens are just bystanders. They're actually really innovative, thoughtful strategists. They're navigating a variety of pressures related to social media and mental health, sexting pressures, friendship burdens, activism, and more. And they're really motivated to lead healthier lives. As adults, though, we really need to step up and do so in ways that are different. Today's teens are in a generational fight for mental health and agency and focus.
Well, I'll go ahead and keep talking. All right, so like that little snippet shows one of the huge themes of the book is that teens are developing social friendship, and it's just like they always have, it's just with a new filter, and it's with social media, and it's with their phones as part of that. And as adults, we just need to understand that. Because mental health is important. We know that those are going to be a part of how kids develop these relationships. We have our experts who work with our students from early intermediate middle school, high school, when it comes to navigating social emotional life. I'm gonna let them, you guys talking through there or coming up? They're talking from there. Okay, so maybe Jessica and Tanya, I just want to share a little bit. So, on the topic of teens and natural development. So a lot of the time, there are these identities for them. I definitely work on it. And the book sort of at first part is their relationship. The book talks about is how difficult it is for kids to maintain boundaries. They have their right. They are really concerned about being available for their friends if their friends are busy. And something to remind yourself of is that this is just a different of what we all found in this meeting. Establish healthy communication with friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever. It's just that maybe logical boundaries are a little more blurred. Just doesn't mean that we're not. The second type of identity development that the book talks about is a sexual identity. So, like we said in that video, it's kind of like something. Maybe I shouldn't phrase it that way, but anyway, it's what our probably going to lives. Really is brought out in the book. And being honest, sometimes we look at that a lot of kids who have part of that must believe, like talk about their sexuality because they're getting comfortable with that. Also mentioned that the during the pandemic, because we don't always have that. I think that's really next for that. And then the last one they talked about were these symbols, which in the book they describe it as basically figuring out what types of values mean a lot. And that's again something that has happened throughout the years. They mentioned, for example, the civil rights movement and how a lot of teenagers were involved in that. And they were actually some of the forerunners of and that's something but it is showing up in a different way, such as the post on your Instagram story that you are interested in this sort of issue or be able to something. So those parts of self are really important when we talk about privilege. And it's also important to notice that it's kind of a parallel to what we went through, which does look good. So, and one of the first
So as long as those is that will be done. And these are true. So, so the second. So when, so,
my role observing our kids to we can really have a really helpful interaction. So the first step is to on how I can actually part of that. What so then the third key is so here's about to the so so by helping them problem solve. Looking down where do you go? And then also, really help so that we can walk. Like, one of these episodes. And I know. Or are you people? There may not be a readiness. But it's not that. And so, yeah, so asking how to student, empathy, yeah. So, as you heard from Lacey and Jack and Tanya, there were those strong messages about team, really can have positive impact. And as parents, we have to be able to support in using something in our own to develop those policy boundaries. So while reading the book as a parent, I felt reassured and I had empathy. Oh, it's hard to do. Feels a lot harder than it was when we didn't have phones. Definitely the part of the book that scared me the most was about the things we all worry about. Stories on the news about sex, the number of students. So there's a lot of scary things I think as a parent we worry about. So while the book paints a pretty picture for a lot of it, it did talk about this topic. So I'm going to share 1 minute from the authors.
Well, first of all, we understand when adults think about the idea of teens and sex. It's really uncomfortable. And as moms and fathers, we really feel it. But in our research, when we listen to teens talk about sexting situations, we learn a lot of really important and interesting. For one, some teens tell us that sexting is a way to feel closer to a partner or someone they're in a relationship with. And as adults, we tend to immediately think about big risks like the risk of pictures. But teens themselves see sexting as a landscape of different behaviors. There's some forms of it that are quite consensual, but others feel really pressured. As adults, when we tell teens just don't sex, it really doesn't give them enough guidance to navigate a landscape like this, especially when there are strong hormonal drives and social pressures in play.
And this is really important because we did hear from teens about a lot of different pressures that are feeling related to sexting. Pressures to ask for sex, even if they're not sure that it's a good idea. Pressures to send them, and those pressures being really magnified for some girls, but the requests are coming from someone who they like and they really want to convey trust and intimacy. We're really interested in the way that a sort of teen level view of sexting changed the way we understood some of the decisions and pressures they're facing and what we actually need to know and do as adults so that we can intervene.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Adam, who is going to just talk us through some of the things in the back of our mind when it comes to this part of.
Okay, so I just want to begin by, I am not going to scare you, and I don't want everyone to panic, okay? So we're taking that. So the researchers talk a lot in this book about, obviously, the chapter on sexting, how normal this is for communities. No matter what the law says or what we tell them not to do, they're going to do it regardless. So that being said, because there are aspects of sexting that would be considered illegal. And again, it's not necessarily the conversation, but it continues more to the news and partially new photos. And the problem with it is that kids would technically be in possession of child pornography, but they would also be disseminating child pornography to their peers. But at the same time, it gets a little bit muddy because not only technically offenders and child pornography are having in their possession, but they're victims too. Because in Ohio, you can't be a juvenile and be in possession of matter that would be considered harmful to you. So it gets a little bit complicated because they're not only technically offenders, but they're victims. And so if you were to bring this case forward with the prosecutor, you have a lot of discretion when it comes to law enforcement. So when I go to the defense, I'm not sure you want to do child pornography, it's not a new photo. But every situation is going to be on a case by case. And we do need to look at every situation based on how much harm is being done in the situation, and whether or not the situation of a boyfriend and a girlfriend, and you guys were shooting back and forth, mom finds out she was upset and calls us for more information. Or was this photo spread to the entire school and now more harm has been done? So we're going to assess the situation as is, but don't want anyone to ever be able to contact us. One of the biggest things that I thought I kind of got from this book and some of the research that I was reading coming here was that I think it would be important as parents to educate on sex. I know that they get sex education almost the basic that, but with technology comes the freedom of pretty much being able to find what you want to get. And a lot of that is porn. And whether kids stumble across it accidentally or they seek it out intentionally, I am sure most of your teens have seen porn in some way, shape, or form. You can get text messages, sometimes I receive them where it's a spam text message and you open up and it's not relationship. So we need to educate kids that we're setting the healthy boundaries and expectations of what sex might be for them one day, and not having them develop their idea of sex based on what they're seeing. Secondly, we also need to educate ourselves on the technology and kind of stay up to date with it, because we'll use it for a lot of things. I use it every day in my life, and I do it too. But there is a dark side to the internet. And while teens might think that they're talking to other teens on the internet, and they might be talking to their classmates or friends or whatever, but they might think that they're talking to another teen. In reality, they might actually be talking to an adult, what I would call a predator, or a trafficker, or a groomer. And the problem is that on the internet, you can be whoever you want to be. And so if someone creates a fake profile, they can pretend to be a teenager and want to talk to your child. And your child might not know that that person isn't the same person. And so I have a question for everyone by show of hands. Have you heard of the term sex trafficking? Everyone knows about it. So there's a lot of myths and misconceptions that go around about sex trafficking, and a lot of people kind of get confused by it. A lot of people think that sex trafficking involves strangers and bike vans, kidnapping kids off the street or from public places, locking them in basements and forcing them to perform sexual acts. Or from my personal experience, what people love to spread on social media, they will post, and this comes from my experience at Fairlawn. They'd like to say that kids were kidnapped from Sunfall, that they weren't. But they would like to say that traffickers are targeting victims by putting zip ties on door handles of cars, beach balls on windshields of cars, plastic sheets on windshield wipers of cars, and this is how they're targeting victims. That's not how it happens. More than likely, the trafficker is targeting a teen. It's looking like the consensual, flirtatious, sexting that teens are doing. Because these traffickers are good at what they do. And not only are they good at what they do, but they're going to target vulnerabilities in children. So if kids are going through mental health crisis or they have addiction, these traffickers are going after the kids who are confident and have really not going on what, let's face it, obviously, life, because I did, everyone did, we all struggled. The traffickers are going to target that, or predators, or whoever it is on the internet with ill intention. And when we spread the myths and misconceptions, we're doing a service to the victims of sex trafficking that are out there to overlook how it's actually happening and how people are actually being victims. So I do caution everyone that if you see false narratives on the internet, be very cautious in believing them and do your own research. More than likely, they're just false or they're just but with that being said, we need to know not only what teens are doing on the internet, what they're saying on the internet, but who they are talking to on the internet. I think that's what's important. We're not going to prevent them from sending news to one another. We're not going to be able to control every single person that they're talking to on the internet, but maybe asking your kid if your daughter's even a student is talking to Johnny. Do you actually know who Johnny is? If that Johnny is put a face to Johnny, or is Johnny someone they met on Snapchat or Discord or some of the other social media? We actually know who this person is. Because to me, if I know who this person is, that's a different situation than some stranger that my child was met on the internet. And so you're probably asking yourself, well, what am I supposed to call the police now? And I say, whenever you feel it's necessary, or maybe you just don't know. Because like I said, we're not here to charge kids with possession of child pornography, get them in trouble, and set them up for a negative future of having these criminal paths or anything like that. But we are here to help you. And even if that's in an educational capacity, where we can help teach your kid, like, hey, here's some of the consequences, or like, hey, what's going on. It doesn't have to be a negative situation. It doesn't mean that charges are going to be filed. But I think as the schools, parents, and law enforcement, we work together, I think that it really can help teens. And that
Now that Allison has everyone. So now Mike is going to share with us internet safeguards that we use at school and that you can put some parameters around.
So do you want to talk about some of the things we do here at school? So first, before we get into it, I need to know, understand how internet software work. So on a website is really easy. There are companies out there, there are millions of websites every day. There are companies that go out there, search those websites, editor. We then get those categories and apply. So it should bring on every Chagrin computer, on Chromebook, desktop, etc. Pornography, guns, aggressive behavior, dating, terrorism, malicious sites, academic honesty, anything that falls in those kind of categories are automatically blocked. We then create additional restrictions based on age. So, for example, you block way more stuff currently, you would nice. some built-in filtering, we load that. At K6 level, we block out additional categories. I was talking about earlier. YouTube filters are not super awesome, so there are things that slip through that are always going to be also in case. So we really try to keep that off of these computers. As you get older, you do kind of like the restrictions a little bit, but even at the high school level, there are things for product. Second, one of the other things we use really helpful here is Shagrin is called GoGuardian. So what GoGuardian does, that's where we can filter everything out, but it also uses machine learning and AI on the back end. So for example, Twitter is unblocked here today. If a student were to go on Twitter and look up something appropriate, the system looks and says, hey, even though Twitter is allowed, that's porn, and we don't want porn. So the site gets blocked, and we have to send to you as well as the principal. So anytime a student intentionally or accidentally stumbles on porn, we get notified. From there, principals, depending on the issue, a lot of times all the remaining colors that issue and say, okay, this was clearly an accident for this purpose. Other things you should know, we're able to go back and look at anything this do. So for example, if I wanted to look at the history, sorry, I can look back at her internet history and her Chromebook going back months and months and months. So if there's ever a concern that having a few people looking for, we have all that history to say, regardless of whether or not Amelia clears her history, we can still see that. So we do a lot on that side of administration. The other thing we do with GoGuardian is we do look for issues of suicide and self-harm. So if students are looking at something that appears to be like they might be hurting themselves, anything from overdosing, cutting themselves, suicide ideation, we get alerts on that. Those alerts are way more when we get more pornography. So I did a text, principals hit text, guidance counselors hit text. There's a big text message. 99 times out of 10, or 99 times out of 100, it's a false alarm. It's a heavy case of the So we're really trying to keep it safe. At home, so I have 3 kids. Everybody else asks me, what do you use at home? Right now, it's just using as a screen time so far. But the one I recommend is go is fine. So, Tech US, by the way, the next slide is going to be this. It's going to link to all of it, the videos, everything you can do. So there's 2 versions of BART. There's kind of beginner and premium. Beginner is great for kids up to about 12 years old. Really what allows you to get this on phone, what apps they can use, download, etc. I'm not using it personally because Apple Screen Time does the exact same thing, and I just fall in that range where I feel like it's covering this. The second part of our, which is for teenagers, so what it will do is that go into files, close on their phone, and alert you as parents. Graphic, whether it is cyberbullying, anything along those lines. You would text me that one text part where I always trust people, not real time. So it is going to search their phone set times of the day, but it's not going to happen live. You should know that, hey, if something is going on, you may not be alerted in about 8 hours. You should be aware of that. Again, the other one is Apple Screen Time. If you have young kids, you're not getting Apple Screen Time. All 3 of my kids, I can limit. We do all sorts of fun stuff. So I just shove off their iPhone or iPad. My older 2 kids take their phones to school, but while they're in school, they can use the phone, the calculator, the notes, and text me, call for tracking. So you can limit hours, limit just about everything. First. So from in here. Well, at the bottom, this links you to a camera graphic that talks about all the things that I just talked about. But at the bottom, it's got links to BART as well as Apple Screen Time. And there are links in set it up. So Apple Screen Time is actually split into 3 different sections. BART has walkthrough videos. The other thing I would say, having trouble with something have concerns about. We're also covering the previous also the
Guys, with the question, do you think have to let you pick up on thing?
So, what's the parent actually?
Right.
Then your child device will download Mark onto their phone.
Okay, so we are done with our formal presentation part, and we're gonna jump into the Q&A. Have some people who have submitted questions, and then I also have questions that our book club people generated. So I'm going to, we'll just start right at the top. Lacey, you have the first question. You talk about working with students on identity and such. Is this a part of the curriculum, or do children just come to you for help?
So, this. I don't know that that, I do hope to do groups in the there, but right now, when I work with kids on, identity development, it's usually. So I have very much respect to me, that I do respect to me that I do with them, but right now, it's just.
So let me give a little bit of context to that. Both Jessica and Lacey provide what we school people call tier 2 and tier 3 intervention services. So our world is that of a pyramid or a triangle, where at base is all those services and programs provided for all. And then when you move up to the middle of the triangle, you have services, interventions provided for some kids who need it. At the very tip of the triangle, you have the most intensive services for kids who might have the highest degree of need. So when we have students who are experiencing social emotional difficulties and need some one-to-one support or some small group help, Jessica and Lacey are the ones providing that in our building. So think about teaching emotion regulation to second graders, working on executive functioning skills so they can just kind of manage all the parts of their life, stress management, anxiety management, things like that. Okay. So if you feel like your child needs that service, probably what you would do is reach out to your building principal or your school counselor. Each building has their own process of referral and making sure that students are getting the services that they need. Okay. I am going to jump to the next question. This is from an anonymous person. Parents in the room, any tech tips that are working for you that you would like to share? So Mike kind of shared what we know to be some good things. So is there anyone out there who has anything they would like to share from hey, that worked well for you and the family? You can think about that. You know, I'm going to raise my hand. Go ahead and think about that one. We'll come back to that. I'm going to jump to one of the questions from our book club group. We talked about sexting. We talked about inappropriate pictures being shared. One of the questions is, when does the school get involved? What happens at a school level if they find out that there's a picture maybe being disseminated amongst a team?
I'll take that one. And thankfully I haven't had to work through that here. As a principal, the very first time I went through that, I probably was in the same situation, parenting, child's life, so much gratification. Having done it through a lot, I've learned that the department is a wonderful resource. As a school, we get that information. We obviously have to act upon it because it's fair of the incident. Whether it was shared, consensually or whether it's sent against the will of somebody. And a lot of times now we're getting that information. A lot of times it's self-reported. So as parents that have had a thank you for sharing that. That come to us and self-report that. Sure. Looking to help and guidance. A lot of them come up first thing. We're trying. Where to go. Sometimes it's where the multiple kids. Following real time. Anytime that happens, we're requiring immediately, calling to let you know. Inviting you. Sometimes it's not as clear with pictures. Sometimes it's, the actual texting of words and other things. So we handle that on a case by case basis as well. Sometimes it's not, if it's not, targeted and harassed and what we call a harassment and bullying. Sometimes if it is very inappropriate, but there's still a level of inappropriate on that. We work with. So I guess I'm talking a lot and all over the place here. Ultimately, what I'm trying to convey is that first goal is to protect the child, support the child. There might be instances where yes, we disseminating pornographic images. There might be.
Our next question came from one of our book club members, and it was out of book club discussion that we invited high school students to join us. Because a lot of parents said, I want to hear from kids. I want to hear what is their experience like? They're in here, what they like to sharing. So one of the questions that I'll bounce out here to you three is, if I am a parent of a younger student and I'm considering a social media app, what is your recommendation? What social media app do you feel like most kids are on and they should be exposed to first?
Well, for young kids, I would definitely recommend starting with something like Instagram. Instagram, you can make your accounts private, and parents can go on Instagram and actually filter out who they can follow, what content that they can see, and stuff like that. And I think that's a great way to connect with people that you go to school with, or like creators that you like practitioners, all of them. You can also filter out so that people that may have pornographic content on their page, or things that like violence and stuff like that. And I definitely think that Instagram is better starting TikTok. This TikTok has a lot less filters, and it's also obviously a lot of people see right now there's a lot of controversy about TikTok and news because like government fine and stuff like that. So I definitely think that TikTok is something that I would say for older kids, especially because there are some content restrictions and there's endless scrolling. And I know from my experience, there's sometimes I'll sit in my room and I'll be scrolling on TikTok and I realize that 2 hours have passed. And I could have been doing something in my life, but instead I was just watching like yeah, I definitely recommend it. I would probably say as well. That's the main platform that especially Snapchat and only see it one time. And like you screenshot it, or what's called personal screenshot it, but you can't stick it in there. So like if something were to end up happening, you don't have like any what's not called something actually.
Mary Catherine is our expert. If there's any questions about the platforms, so what?
Around that.
Absolutely, Mike.
One of my experiences. Point, and I know one of the questions are very much.
I think any of us do.
But I spent experience A lot of things. Wi-Fi, not protected. Just. I don't know the ages, I don't want to give a representation. Just knowing and having that open communication with your child that they are finding ways, they are getting ways, they are having access to it. So the heartbreaking that I have seen when parents are like, no, 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 and you show them like, so here, and it wasn't like horribly bad, but it's like, you're posting pictures on Instagram and stuff, it's holding the learning. That is, but and sometimes it's parents that have done the most to try to put that in place. So keep that in mind when you get that point ready, know and educate yourself that if you're not, they will be trying to, and they have to. So, it's all that important way.
I think Mike brings up a good point. One of the things in the book that struck me when I read it was about going back to the vaccine and the news and the statistics. And even if your child has not received an inappropriate text or picture, you have no way of knowing if a friend walked up to them and said, look what I just got. So it's out there. So having those open communication channels and just kind of assume that it's what they're dealing with. And like Tanya said, that empathy over eye rolling, I think goes a long way. Okay, how do students use social media to learn about politics and news?
So, and I'm very happy at this question, like, history and political science in college next year. And I definitely like not learned everything I know, but I learned quite a decent amount of information from social media. I know that a lot of times, like, we'll be scrolling on TikTok and we'll see like someone making a random video. It's like, oh, like for example, I'll scroll on TikTok and I'll see something about the trains going. People are spreading false information about that because they just kind of like leave it up to their own post, which is obviously not helping anyone's case. So I think that social media can spread a lot of false information about kind of the news and like more political events. However, I follow, like, I go on my Instagram and I follow New York Times, the Washington Post, and stuff like that. And so I know that those are trusted news sources, and so what they post, like, I can trust. You know, like, a lot of people, like, on Instagram will, like, repost something on their Instagram story that's, like, pertains to a news event. And usually, like, if it's something that's false, like, they'll come up with like a post like, oh, this is spreading false information about COVID-19, vaccine, election, anything like that. They'll say that it's spreading false information about subjects. However, I feel like a lot of times some of the stuff like can still come out and people will still say it, as we see with other television. And so I think that you really have to have a conversation with your child about that they need to be like actualizing the things that they see. And I know like a lot of like young kids like don't really like, put a lot of thought into the things that they're seeing on social media. Like this is why I think it's really about like what we're seeing on the news so that they're always sources of information. I mean, and I'm like, and I'm usually in the political science and I'm really interested in that. Not something, but I still think it's really important to like the families to have conversations about different things in the news and be on social media, kind of perspective, what's true, and not blast things out.
How do you balance your child's privacy and showing them trust versus monitoring their activity on social media and text? Please, turn to Jess. Anybody want that one?
I talked earlier about this issue.
manage it. Beginning, you're gonna monitor, right? And when you give them that device, that check this number of times a day, or I'm gonna check this, every so often. Social media. And you're also gonna set the guardrails. Whatever that happens to be. Set that up, then you. And then as they show you, you can operate in time. As they show you that. You start to get that, right? And having a discussion about what, how we. Turning the things supposed to your Instagram, exactly what we talked about. Keep the good work. I totally mind to check this ad on, but just know I see. And then follow up. And then as they get older, they're going to show you like. And so to bring up this. They're engaging. So they're going to show you the steps. But you're done.
That's Mike, with a couple of questions about YouTube and inappropriate ads.
Sure. So with inappropriate ads, don't look in one, get young kids, it's still not great. You still can, not all that great. But YouTube does do a good job. As younger kids learn, you just that. Second, to help filter out ads on older kids, you have a login. What you log in, not perfect, but that's control. And they're also working with them. What all Jeff was saying, I mentioned it earlier, if you're looking to say. Okay. You don't have to worry about it. Okay.
Okay, I want to, be cognizant of time, and I know everybody has other things to get to tonight. I'm going to, finish with one last question for the kids, but if you have questions, feel free to come up and answer, and we'll answer them as well. Okay, so last question for the teams, and this really gets at the essence of the book. At the end of every chapter, there is a section that says what teens wish parents knew. Question for our high schoolers in the room: what's one thing you wish adults would understand in regards to screens? So I'm gonna let each of them give an answer. Oh, Amelia wants to go first.
This kind of relates to like what we were talking about earlier. Yeah. And I mean, from my perspective, so if I'm being honest, I learned most of my news. TikTok. That's where I first got the training around like other current question stuff. And I know like can't trust that kind of stuff. It's just, I mean, a lot of parents kind of that everything fake or there's not reliable resources that exist on social media. And I think, I mean, as technology like advances and stuff, more and more like reliable resources are being able to make the TikTok accounts and stuff like that. They're posting the same kind of information that they want to, right? So I mean, it's really the same thing that you would read on a website. It's just important to know. These kinds of very practical things like learning how to code things on the internet and figure out what is credible and reliable. So I think it's important to have those conversations. Because matter of fact, like you can learn reliable, trustworthy things on social media. Going off of what she said, and we're going to, but most of the news outlets and stuff. Guys are wherever it is. Like the house on Instagram, and on TikTok, and stuff like that. And a lot of what information they're putting on the news and those apps, and that's where a lot of teenagers get their information. And that's not that there's not any information, that's definitely not true, but I think trying to spend on these apps and having these discussions more to build up this skill. You know how to decipher what's real and what. I think also.
So one thing I wish my parents kind of understood a little bit more is the fact that even though I'm like testing for and people on Instagram, Snapchat, people, and I'm still holding with people. I think like this is really takes my life right now. Like I came to college and now I'm like searching for a roommate. And what you do now when you're trying to find a roommate, you post on an Instagram. I'll post on like George Washington, and I'll be posting like time and visit a cabin. And by example, not a lot of people don't like do random roommates anymore, and so like when I kind of explain this to my parents and my grandparents, it's like, hey, I found this girl and we're talking about being roommates. She's from Long Island. They're like, how did you even do that? What? And like, well, we actually met through Instagram, and my dad, my mom understands a lot of social media. My dad has no idea. And like very happy, like, how are you meeting? What? I'm like, that would be post on the Instagram. And I just like think that like parents like don't understand that like you can still be building relationships with people even though you're on social media. I physically can't fly to Long Island to go talk to my roommates. So I'm like gonna Snapchat her and on Instagram. And I'm still building actually like, I know a lot about each other's lives, off on the phone and everything. Actually build connections with people on social media, but doing some safe about it.
Okay, so like I said, if we didn't get to your questions, we will be happy to stay after and answer them. I will say we do not have any discussions to ban phones from classrooms at this point in time, so we move on. One of my favorite parts about the book was at the end, it went through this, I used to think, but now I think. So I'm gonna give you a minute just to kind of read some of the takeaways, and we did this exercise with our book club, and these are some of the answers. So I used to think young people didn't care about digital privacy, but now I understand they do, and it's complicated. I think digital well-being was just about scarcity of tech use. Now I think it's about forming healthy habits, and that's essential. I used to think teens were just using their devices out of habit. Now I think they use them for social, emotional reasons too. I used to think teens knew so much more about tech than older people. Now I think they're actually seeking guidance from us. So again, just some of the takeaways for the book. I would recommend if you haven't read it, it was probably one of my favorite parenting books and professional books I've read recently. So before you leave, I'm going to have you grab your phones one more time and have you enter one word that maybe describes your thoughts after hearing the presentation tonight. We'll use this to kind of give us a sense of how it went over and what future programming should be. I'll leave it up there, you guys can throw in words. So thank you all for coming out tonight. I hope you found this to be informative and give you some things to think about. Thank you to everyone at the table. I know you all have really long days, so we appreciate your time and yeah.